Alright, and we're back with another commentary video. I just want to say, if you can hear heavy breathing, it's actually not me doing heavy breathing. It's actually my fan blowing on me in the background because it is extremely hot in my studio office right now. So I'm trying to keep myself cool. Speaking of fans and being cool, if you happen to like these videos that I do and you've checked out some other ones, feel free to click the like button and give me a thumbs up on the video. And if you're so inclined, feel free to subscribe and get updates of when these videos come out. I'm trying to be far more regular with these videos, and I currently have it set up so every night at midnight, music videos that have Sierra music are released based on various games and stuff. I even have a special one that I made for Halloween when Halloween comes about. So, like I said, click the like, click the subscribe. Let's start talking about SQ6 and stop talking about my channel. So here we are with Roger Wilco. He has been stripped of his captain duty. He has been stripped of his clothes. He's been stripped of everything. And he's back to being a janitor. And we see the slow motion of his jockstrap, which turns out to be the ship. So here we are. Roger is the janitor doing the vacuuming thing. And clearly a reference to Picard as a lion. I don't know why. I will say in this game, one of the many things I did not like is there is a lot of cutscenes where it's just a lot of dialogue back and forth, which normally is fine, but I felt like a lot of the game was actually that dialogue of back and forth. And it does, what's really odd is like you just saw fairly good graphics of the ship flying through space, but then the actual gameplay looks very basic. Like Roger looks very 2D, but some of the robots in the background you can see look very three-dimensional. The game felt almost unfinished in a roundabout way, and that may be the case. But here we are. There's Gary Owens is narrating, which is always a win. So that's one of the things that makes the dialogue tolerable is when Gary Owens is talking, he's usually very funny. So the way out of that is you grab that passing robot and he'll yank you out. And one of the things I found odd, and it could have been the cycles I had the game running at, is when there is dialogue, and it's especially noticeable between two people, like Roger will say something like, "Hey, well, what do you mean by that?" And then the other person who's talking, there's literally like a 3 to 5 second delay before they respond to Roger. So it made some conversation in the game very odd, but again, that could be related to the cycles I had it running at. I did end up increasing the cycles, and I think I saw a little bit of improvement in terms of how the dialogue was going. But there's actually like parts where Roger's being cut off, where Roger will start talking, and you can tell he's being cut off because it's got the dash and he stops. And then the person who's cutting him off doesn't say anything until like 3 to 5 seconds. So there is some weird dialogue stuff like that. And one of the things with the point and click Sierra games is essentially just try to click on everything because you're going to find something. So for example, you found an ID card of an alien who owns that bike. Apparently, I don't know why his ID card is on the bike, but there you have it. Also, everyone that you see, try to talk to, including what appears to be a lady of the evening. I do like that if you don't do anything that moves Roger, he'll start to whistle the Space Quest theme. And you'll see like random things change. Like now the woman's gone and there's suddenly like a photo booth thing there. So you go in, you get a picture taken. And clearly that's already easy to figure out. You're going to basically put the picture on top of the ID, and that picture thing apparently was an alien that ate the other guy. So there you go. You now have a fake ID. So now here you can see an arcade and a bar, and we're going to go into the arcade first. There's a dude who wants to, if you see him, he's leaning against the game. If you talk to him, like I said, talk to everyone. He'll challenge you to Stooge Fighter 3. So you say, "Let's rumble," You try to fight him. And don't get frustrated if you are playing this game and listening to this first. It doesn't matter who you pick or what you do. You cannot win the games. He will actually beat you every time, despite you slapping and severing his head. Doesn't matter. He'll come back and win. So you can win one, but you'll never win like the required amount to actually beat him. Because later you'll find out that there is a cheat code that you will need to use to beat him. For example, he won that round. There you go. So you lose both, and he just kind of chuckles at you. And there is definitely no point in actually playing again. And so right outside the bar, and this is pretty much a random encounter, he kind of walks around, talk to this guy, and he'll actually hire you, if I can speak English, to go take care of a Android thing in the bar, in the lower section. And I cannot count probably 3, 4, 5 times that I died trying to get this done. And I had a heck of a time trying to figure out how to make this work. Most of the Space Quest games, they are, it's very much Roger getting by through sheer luck versus actual knowledge. He's not a confident guy, but in Space Quest 5, we saw that change. He became a far more confident character, which was very odd for me to see. And in Space Quest 6, it's very similar. He becomes far more confident in what he can do and what he does. So, a lot of it, so like I said, like a lot of the puzzles, it was Roger getting by on his luck, very random things. The puzzles in Space Quest 6 I found to be not more complicated, just not as fun, I guess is a word I would use. And I do know a few people were talking about on the forum that originally this had been developed or written by Josh Mandel, and something happened, and Scott Murphy ended up coming back to take care of this. So it's interesting that in Space Quest 5, it was Mark Crow without Scott Murphy, and then in Space Quest 6, it started with Josh Mandel, and then we get Scott Murphy without Mark Crow. So, and I had originally wondered, because in this game you'll find out that Roger has a different love interest, that if it was kind of a slight against Mark Crow by Scott, I don't know if Josh maybe designed the love interest before Scott came in, but like the love interest from Space Quest 4 as well as Space Quest 5 is mentioned in this game, but just kind of blown over, and we are introduced to a new love interest, which easily could have been the previous love interest. Like the whole thing that happens with her, I won't get into it just yet till I get there. The whole thing that happens with her could have easily been the original love interest and continued the story and felt like there was some continuity to the story. Instead, we just briefly mention the current love interest and bring in a new one. It just felt weird. It's one of the things I didn't really like. It just felt like not a lot of continuity. So you show your ID to those guys enjoying their hookah pipes, and they bail because they think you're a cop. And so you take the hookah pipes, and then there's a thing under there. This took me forever to figure out, because you click your hands on it and Roger will bend down, but the only option after that is like hands. So I couldn't take it, and I couldn't figure out how to originally move it. So I figured I'll just come back to it and figure it out later. So I suddenly see, there's an outlet right there. Let's try it again. That's why I saved it as I knew it did something. So now the next part is we're going to show our ID. Get a lot of dialogue about the different drinks he can make. And you tell him you want the special and order a special drink. He says it's going to take me a minute, which is cool. So while he's occupied, click on everything in the back, anything you can grab. One of those things is that fridge. It opens, the ice tray, it gets sprayed. So I just kept moving down the line until something different happened. So we noticed one of them doesn't spew anything. And when I went to click it again, I actually misclicked. And as I saved it right there, that was a misclick. I went to click it again to see if there was anything noticeable about it. And it ended up clicking right under, which broke the pipe, which most of Space Quest 6, I remember playing it when it originally came out with my friend Sean. And when I did this playthrough, it took me almost 8 hours to finish the game. If you look at the version that doesn't have the commentary, it's like 7 hours and 15 minutes because I saved some of the, I trimmed some of the part where I got up to go get a soda and it was just still recording, or if my wife had called for me, I got up to go tend to her. So there was times where it was still recording that led to that 8 hours. Now, and this is what I thought was odd. I tied the hookah hose together, but it wouldn't let me put it into the broken pipe. It says, try the other outlet first, which I thought, well, there's no other outlet. It's just that one. I don't even know what I'm doing. But then I saw the other outlet and thought, all right, let's plug it in there and let's try something. So now we got those two things together, and the cooling thing from the hookah guy. I see this new guy and I think maybe that's a triggered event of me doing stuff, but apparently it's not. So we're going to go over here, turn that on. I'm not even sure what I'm doing yet, because I swear I could not remember what this did. And as you can see, there's a guy that's supposed to look like, I guess, an alien version of Leisure Larry. He's got the necklace and hanging out the bar, doing the cool thumbs up, pointy finger thing. And the bartender, every time he finishes a special drink, he unhooks the hose. So I still haven't found where the guy is, so go to click on the door because can't get into the bathroom. Into the bathroom, and this guy's still up here, but clearly doing the hose thing did nothing up there. So, oh, kick the door. Oh, now there's another dent. So now it becomes clear this is where I need to go. And this is probably where the droid thing is at. And there's an obsession with Tango and Cash, because it's mentioned several times. So is Hudson Hawk. So here we see Arnie, and he kills you. So this will begin a long sequence of me dying a lot because I can't figure out what to do. So I think I need to freeze him. So go back here, do this whole thing with the drink again. Talk to him, order the special. Yeah. Give me the special. So now go back over here, hook up the hose again, and head back upstairs. Turn that thing on, which is weird. Like, why is it turned off anyway? It should still be spewing stuff. Just when he removes a hose, he should get frozen. So, aha! Looks like the Arnie thing is frozen. Cool. So now, what do we do with him frozen? Well, I'm thinking we got to break him. He's got tools on his thing, but nope. He kills me again. So I tried it again, just in case I misclicked the tool. Nope. Kills me again. All right. Clicking everywhere, all over that thing, trying to grab something. Nope. Don't get out of the room in time. He kills me again. So you can see there is a lot of dying against this Arnie droid thing. So I'm going to try something new, and that's when I spotted something on the floor. But I can't get to it from the save game. So I'm going to have to restore one back. Before I go walk up to him, get back out, because now I have a lead pipe that was on the floor that I totally missed the first time. Show the ID. Rinse and repeat of order the special. Go over here, grab the hose, hook it up, walk all the way back, go upstairs, turn this thing on, which no one knows why it's turned off anyway, go back downstairs, go through the side door. Arnie's frozen. This time we know what to do. We just hit him with the pipe and it'll be broken. Cool, now he's broken into tiny ice cubes. Ice cubes? Well, I have an ice tray, so we should fit right in the ice tray. But he doesn't, because he comes back and morphs into himself and kills me again. Yeah. So that's a lot of fun. Really, really fun being killed over and over again. So since I forgot to save, since I thought I had the answer, we're going to rinse and repeat. We're going to go back over here, show the ID, order the special. It's going to take a minute. Go over here, hook up the hose, go put it to the other end. Now we have to head upstairs, turn on the thing that someone keeps turning off apparently. Turn this back on. Cool. Get downstairs. Gonna save here this time. Then go downstairs again. Now we're gonna smash Arnie. Boom. So I have him smashed. So put him in to the little sweeper thing, which was weird. And then from the sweeper thing, you put him into the ice cube tray. Now, how does that make sense? Why would you not just originally put him in the ice tray? That's why I saved that game as that was dumb, because that seems really stupid that you would sweep him up into that little sweeper thing and then somehow get that to easily go into the ice tray. It seems like it'd be easier just to pick up the pieces and put it in the ice tray originally, or at least understand that that's what you were trying to do and maybe not give all the points. Like if you put him in the sweeper thing first, you get 2 points more for putting it there first because you're doing a janitor thing or whatever. I don't know. I just thought it was really stupid. I thought that was a ridiculous puzzle. So you find the guy who's waiting outside. He says thanks, goes inside, and a fight breaks out. Whatever. There's nothing else to do here. Let's just get out of here. Now you talk to this guy, and you find out, oh, hey, it's Elmo from Space Quest 3, the guy who used to run Scumsoft. And now he is going to send you on a mission as well. And what does he give you in return? Cheat codes to Stooge Fighter 3, which will in turn allow you to beat the guy and get some credits. But what he needs first is the alcohol, very special alcohol. So if you touch ET's finger, it does nothing. I think it just gives you points. No idea why ET is super intoxicated by the looks of it. So now you talk to Pa. Pa goes on and on and on. But you pay him, he gives you the alcohol. But first, he has to talk to you forever again. So you get the alcohol. I'm going to go ahead and save. Now we have to go find Elmo again. But first, as always, click on everything, look at it, try to pick it up. Whatever, if you can't find it, that's fine. So once you buy the alcohol, Elmo, I don't know if he's always outside, but he's outside sitting down. And he gives you the codes for the Stooge Fighter 3 and how to cheat. Oh, and that's right, he also gives you a fish. Which if you watch the fish as the game goes, the fish begins to deteriorate. So now we're just looking for the arcade. And we are gonna go play some Stooge Fighter 3. Oh, and you have to look at the paper first. I should add that to enable the cheat code. So it's just like the good old Sega games where you would hit back forward, up, down, A, B, B, A, and enables a cheat. But this one, if I remember correctly, it's A, B, B, A, C, A, C, A with the buttons, which spells ABBA Caca. And I'm assuming this is a reference to the band ABBA, and perhaps their thoughts on the band ABBA. So now what's funny is when I played it, I didn't realize if you look right between the controller and the ABC button, there's a red button there. Totally did not realize I was supposed to press that to enable the cheat. Until right now. So now you can see 3 hits and I knock him down. And the same thing. Every hit is doing massive damage. And I assume there's no fatality, even though it kind of looks like there is. Might be, like for Mortal Kombat, because they do stand there for a second. But I assume there is no fatality type move that you can do in Stooge Fighter, or none that I'm aware of. So now, possibly with the arcade done and the bar done, I'm just going to keep cruising around, see what else is to do. The bar, there's nothing at the bar because that's just the alcohol stuff and ET if you want to engage with ET. And I thought I'd walk in this radioactive stuff and it does nothing, which is very weird for a Space Quest game with all that toxicity stuff barrels around. You'd figure something is there, but that's not the case. And this is a familiar character that we also saw in Space Quest 3, but this time he's a little more disgusting. Spoiler alert, we don't have what we need right now to get what we need right now, if that makes any sense. So we'll be seeing him again. So you can look at the different items he has and stuff like that, and it'll make reference to something we need, but we don't have what it takes. That was it right there with the Mahdi and it being illegal. So now it's a matter of trying to figure out what am I going to do next, because I've already done the bar, I've already done the arcade. There's nothing at the implant place, so let's check out the hotel and see what happens. You can try to talk to what I would assume is her manager. So I won't let you talk to anyone, but you can talk to the guy behind the desk. So if you give him some coin, he'll tell you, yep, you can have a room, just sign in here. And you sign in with a fake name, which I don't get the reference to, but whatever. If you know what the reference is with that name, feel free to tell me in the comments below and make me feel silly for not understanding what that name reference is supposed to be. So when you go up to your room, use your key card. The two guys are downstairs. They happen to follow you up. And they're about to beat you senseless, just like he said. And there you go. You blacked out. So this, getting out of this, took me quite a few times and quite a bit of time as well. And if you watch the non-commentary version, you'll notice that because I am literally just clicking on everything and happen to click on that hook with the key. So assuming that's it, like now he has the key, I just keep clicking, but oh, there's something else. You get the nail. So now do we stab something? But no, you click on Roger and apparently he knows how to get out of handcuffs with a nail. So clearly this guy has no peripheral vision to see Roger tearing down the carpet thing on the wall. Poster. I don't know what you call those when it's a poster carpet on a wall. Tapestry? Sure, tapestry. Let's go with tapestry. So you can lay it on the floor, but then I couldn't figure out what we're doing now. But if you click your hand to pick it up again, Roger begins motioning back and forth and you create static, which then you just touch the back of the dude's head. So he is unconscious, and naturally with everything, you always search everybody. So click on everything. So it's saying insert disk. Clearly there's something to do here and we need a disk. So where do we get a disk? Start clicking feverishly on everything. And each little thing right there is a disk apparently. But there's only one of interest, which we just got. So you go into each one basically, and each one's going to tell you a little bit something. If you want to take the time to read them all, you can watch the non-commentary playthrough because I sped this up so I can get through it. So make sure you eject the disk and take it with you. So now we have the key, which got off the body and into the other room with the other guy, who apparently does not care too much that you've somehow got past his buddy and are now in his room. And again, not much in the way of peripheral vision, as he doesn't seem to care that you are taking stuff. So now we have like a chip, and not super sure what to do. because it does mention the hum of the force field, which obviously I just tested, and you can't get out. So I look at each thing, and that let me take off the thing and swap the thing, which was pure coincidence. And you put that on the back of his neck, and he just dances. And as the save game says, what just happened? That was pure luck. I just happened to be clicking on the different items and combined them. So since he threw off his clothes, grab his clothes, or at least his belt, and there's 2 items that you're going to want to detach from the belt, which is a shaver and the thing to turn off the force field. So now we're outside, and this is where I ended up using a guide here in a moment, because I'm trying to figure out how to get off of this area here, and couldn't figure out what to do. So I noticed that the data recorder, let's turn it on. There's different things here that you can do that I have no idea what they are. Turn it off. And this is where I ended up using a walkthrough for, because for the life of me, I couldn't figure out what I was doing. Like, I was clicking on chips, but couldn't drag them on top of one another to even try to swap them out to make any sort of sense of what I was doing. And if you read the hints, you'll understand quickly what needs to be done. But now, for me, the IRQs and all that stuff and taking off the labels, I was like, forget it. I'm going to grab a hint book and do this quickly, because I don't want to spend 2 hours trying to figure out which one's which, going back and forth with the different labels and the IRQs and stuff like that. And so there you go. And speaking of the previously aforementioned love interest that I talked about, this is her. It is Stellar. And she explains that she actually came aboard the ship, the Deep Space 86 or 89 or whatever it's called, to actually see you. And Roger's like, kind of in a relationship, but it's complicated. She says, maybe we can do dinner. He says, I'd like to do that a lot, but I'm kind of in that relationship and not really sure with Beatrice. And Roger in this breaks the fourth wall several times, like he just did now when Gary Owens as a narrator says something and he says, beat it, pal. And so as you try to figure out why you were taken and what's up with all of that, she says, hey, maybe you should go get the DNA analyzed. Which you say, hey, I happen to have DNA on the shaver that I got. Deep Ship 86. There we go. And now the captain has gotten a special mission and a very specific request by this wonderful woman on the screen, who turns out not to be so wonderful, and basically says, I need someone to come over here. I'm old. Come take care of me. In the meantime, Stellar is getting her back checked out because you jumped in her arms when you guys were teleported away, kind of threw out her back. Roger looks pretty skinny, so I'm not sure how that happens, but whatever. So we have a DNA sequencer right here with the DNA X thing on there. But the lead scientist guy will not let you do it. So we need to find a way to convince him to let this happen. All right. So you just continue to talk to him and convince him. So then you put the hair sample on top and hit the scan button. And what you're going to want to do is click that and get a little data card. Now, this is once again where I was like, okay, well, what good does that do? It's a subroutine program thing. I have no idea how to get the data off of this thing now. It gives me no indication where I can get the data. So I start clicking around feverishly if there's somewhere to insert it, and it's right by where you first come in, which again, just pure luck that I clicked on it. There is no indication of what to do, and it says file closed, as if someone is trying to hide something. That's the only time they have files closed and things redacted. So once you've done that, Stellar's back on her feet and says, so what'd you find out? And you say, hey, file was closed. Then she says what I just said. The only time they do that is when they're hiding something. Something smells very wrong. And it's not just your socks, Roger. And this is what I mean by there is a lot of dialogue back and forth. It was literally like 8 minutes of me not playing the game, just back and forth dialogue. And suddenly Roger says, maybe we can do dinner. So now you've got a special assignment, and he says, report to your room. And there's so much stuff in here. I clicked on everything. Everything on that table is from Space Quest 5, which was nice that they acknowledged. Like the hint book, the Pocket Pal, all that stuff on the table is from Space Quest 5. So it's kind of cool that they did acknowledge at least that Space Quest 5 was in the game, or, happened, since they kind of just skim over Beatrice. Excuse me. Unintended sneeze. So just clicking around, we see this little thing. Can get in your own closet. And when you go back, there's actually an incoming message, which he says, hey, you're going to Delta Burke whatever 5. So we're going to go ahead and confirm the transport. So there's a commander talking to big head alien guy who says, go into the quarters and go clean Sharpay? Can't remember her name. Sharpay is how I guess I would pronounce that. Sharpay. Sharpei. Sharpie? Sharp? Anyway, so your mission is to basically clean her room, and you'll notice every time you do something to clean, she's doing something also, other than just sitting in her bed. She tells you to get to work, but then talks to you for a freaking minute afterwards, where I save the game as too much dialogue. And she says, go rattle the commode. So all you have to do is click on the hand, click on the toilet. So it's time for her medicine, and you see she has pulled something out from under the bed, pressed a button, and released gas. So now we have to figure out how to escape the gas. And naturally, I am clicking feverishly on everything, because I try not to use a walkthrough, other than like when there's a maze or like the chips on the data recorder thing. Like, I enjoyed the puzzles of the game of trying to figure the stuff out that actually you're using inventory items and stuff like that. I'm not a super big fan of like big puzzles that involve going through a maze, or you have 10 objects and you need to sort them in the right order, even with the clues given in the disc. So you use a thing that puts the bed up and down, put it in the elevator. Stellar, for whatever reason, teleports down when you could have just got through yourself, and there's an explosion, and it seems as if Stellar has died. So you take the eulogy, and you're gonna have to click on yourself. So we're gonna head back, I assume, to Roger's room. So We haven't gotten direction to go anywhere else. But nothing seems to have changed, so let's get out. But wait, there's an incoming message. And it's Stellar who says, hey, I'm not dead, come help me. And you're like, oh damn. So let's head to the bridge and tell the captain what we've just discovered. What could go wrong? Now, to be fair, Roger does start the conversation saying, you're going to think I'm crazy, which is probably not a great way to say something when you think they might actually think you're crazy. You're already planting that seed in your head. So he tells you, yep, you're crazy. Just go do your job. So now we can look at the different aliens, and I am going to speed this up even faster because I literally went through each and every one of them, and you'll notice some of them have reference numbers in them. And I know in the hologram room, you can actually program the hologram to show stuff. So I couldn't remember if these would actually show things about the aliens if you go into the hologram room. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this part up even further. Now, I will say there is a bunch of different aliens and stuff like that in this little database that references other Space Quest games. So like the ORAT's in here and other stuff like that, and the Pinkins and all that stuff. So that's actually kind of cool that you can go through this and you actually read more about these aliens and stuff like that. So if you have the patience, I highly recommend actually going through these and actually reading about each one of these, because it is kind of cool to have a little bit more backstory to these different aliens. It's just a lot of this doesn't apply to the actual game in Space Quest 6, except for one thing. All right, now that we've looked at a bunch of aliens and gotten some reference numbers, gonna head up into the prison thing first, just because it's a different area. Look around. And you see the seat move in there. It almost looks like it's haunted. But you'll see, there it goes. You'll see the creature that's in there every once in a while press against the force field. So there's nothing to do in the cell, but Roger will be back here shortly. There's a reason that room is there. Now here's a puzzle that I thought was kind of out of place. Like me as a player, I have no idea what I'm doing next. And you have this droid named Sydney here, who, if you continue to talk to him, as you'll see here in a moment, and see if we can order some Soylent. I'll talk about the Sydney thing here in a second. And then if you watch the non-commentary version, you can actually hear the whole Mr. Soylent song. They actually made a song for it. So we'll come back to Sydney here in a second. Save it. It's been a while since I saved. And now we're going to try something. We don't want to actually teleport. We want to enable some of the things. So remember, I said a bunch of those aliens have reference numbers next to them. So I wrote all these reference numbers down thinking the hologram would show something. And so I was trying a bunch of the different codes that did nothing. So I don't know what those reference numbers are actually for, but there is one of the reference numbers that talks about essentially the Vulcan, but they call it the vulgar nerve punch. So when you look up, and there it is again, Tango and Cash and Hudson Hawk. So when you look up the things, the big one to look up is the vulgar aliens. And he talks about how when you do the nerve pitch, you have to whisper some lines from Tango and Cash or from Hudson Hawk, which will render them unconscious. So now we have a nerve grip that we can do. So the only other thing we haven't done is really talk to. And I noticed when I came back and talked to him, now the conversation is different. He's not repeating the same thing that he originally said to Sydney, sorry. So he gave me his arm, so I thought, all right, well, let's talk to him again. And Roger asked for another favor, and this time he's going to ask for his eye. Now the thing is, why is Roger asking for his arm and his eye? Because right now, I have no idea why he's going to need either of those things. It makes no sense to me why Roger is asking for this information from Sydney. Like zero. Makes no sense. So moving down the line, we're going to head to the spaceport where there's 2 aliens. They don't want to talk. You do notice some donuts right there, but you can't get them. So it doesn't seem like there's anything to do there. I'm going to go ahead and leave again. Spoiler alert, there was something to do there. I just didn't know what it was. So apparently you're not allowed to get DNA, but you are allowed to get some morphine. Not to be confused with morphine, but morphine. It looks like it spells morphine, but there is no E at the end, which I originally thought this is morphine. It just doesn't show the E, so I'm thinking we're going to knock these guys out with some morphine. Totally makes sense. But doing that doesn't seem to do anything. However, you can do the hand thing and click on the guy, and it does the nerve pinch. You mumble some lines from Tango and Cash and Hudson Hawk and knock him out. But that gets the other guy upset, and he knocks you out. So then you end up in prison. Which, okay, since things are happening, we know it's not a dead end. So he keeps his gun on you and says, hey, I have some matters to attend to, and all he does is step to the side. So I'm thinking I have time. But no, he takes the food away. So I was like, oh, well, damn it, now I can't reach it. I don't know if he comes back or not, so I went ahead and restored, and I actually just went straight there to the spaceport to get knocked out again and to be sent back to jail. Well, first I need the morphine, apparently, through random clicking. So we're back here, going to do the nerve punch. And then get thrown in jail. And this time, I know to click the food, that I only have a limited amount of time. And like I said, I don't know if he actually comes back and gives you food again or what he does. I just didn't want to chance it. So I quickly grab the hands and grab all the food in one shot. And he leaves. So not really sure what to do here, except for maybe the arm. At the time I was thinking the arm and the eye will make a fake Roger. So to me, those look like eyes, right? The circular things. So I try to combine it with the watermelon, and it's like, nah, that doesn't do anything. So now it's a matter of just feverishly clicking things together to see if anything sticks. So apparently the things that I thought looked like ears, but apparently they look more like feet, connected with the shish kebabs. You take the rib cage, connect that. So, and then you take the bread thing and make arms. So we're getting closer to what should be possibly a person. Put that on there, and it's hands. Apparently not eyes, it's hands. The melon is the head, and then you take the spaghetti-ish thing, like it's hair, and then you take that and click on the bench, and it creates a visitor who's in prison. He comes out, grabs a donut, puts that in there. And when I went to click the donut, he actually hid under the thing. And I don't get it. Like, he doesn't recognize, thanks to his glasses, that Roger has escaped. But, I mean, you would at least know that there isn't two people in there. But whatever. So, we have a donut. And we mix it with the morphin. Since we know that big alien dude is eating it. But like I said, I thought it was morphine. So, in my head, what was going to happen is I somehow get the donut into the big guy, and then Vulcan pitch the other guy. If you try to offer the donut, that doesn't work. And I, purely coincidence, clicked on that to try to get him close. And again, this is not what I expected. I expected morphine. I thought that was good, that they had Elton John with the girl in the tower. His sidekick is stunned and shocked. So same result, basically. As always, search the bodies. One guy, you'll get keys. And if you hit the button, it talks about an alarm turning on and off. So if you click the button to try to open the doors, you click it, and nothing happens. Nothing happens. So this took me a moment that maybe both have to be clicked at the same time. So click with that, and click with that, and that gets the door. Now, it's disappointing there wasn't some references to spaceships that looked overly familiar, except for the Star Wars one to the far left. The other ships I did not immediately recognize as being a reference to anything. So if you hit the alarm button, it'll show you which ship belongs to you. I actually meant to grab what was behind the seat, because if you look, there's stuff behind the seat. So take to looking at the ship more. It mentions a recall notice. And you have to look at it to make sure you understand what the recall notice is about and how to properly jump your ship in the event you have an issue. So I took the time to actually write this down. So open up that compartment, get the tape, the glue, and the pump. It says the navigation is offline, everything's offline. And it says the current code is lasagna. So now what you have to do, this took forever. And I ended up once again using a hint book for this one. You need the, oh my God, I'm totally blanking on what that's called. The elemental code for each one where they have a letter. Oh my Lord, totally blanking on what that's called. But the chart with all the elements of silver, gold, different types of gases and stuff like that, it essentially needs to spell lasagna going down, and that'll get the ship started. And it says it wants to do an eye scan, and I totally missed it. So try it again. Put the eye up, and it works. And the stormtroopers show up, and the guy says, "Hey, here's your fish," and he throws your fish. And once again, we have some fairly decent graphics for back in the day. And the commander says, "Hey, you're headed for," it's not a black hole, but the positive, negative thing. So you disregard him and you fly into the thing anyway. And when you click the blue button, which is now flashing, Manuel shows up. And he says he's basically your assistant. Is there anything he can help you with? So we're drifting in space, but something is broken, so we need to pop the hood and the trunk so we can get like jumper cables and stuff like that. So first, grab your spacesuit, make sure you put it on, put the helmet on. Let's head out. And again, you have nice graphics contrasted with the simplicity of Roger. Now I thought we were supposed to jump it because we have the code, but when I went over there, it just closed the hood. So I have to go back in, and apparently when you go back in, it puts everything back away. So I put it back on. Try to go to the front seat. It says, no, that's too difficult to do. So now we have to take it off. Go back up there. Pop the hood again. Go back out. And now we're going to put the stuff back on. And try again. So I don't see a way to basically get this fixed. It was just really weird. I guess it sort of makes sense because in order to jump something, you need another vehicle. So make sure you grab the fish out of the engine, put the help sign that you got out of the trunk on the ship, and you patiently wait. And so finally help arrives. And they're willing to help jump your ship, and they keep calling you Dollface. So it's very odd that Roger is suddenly like not only confident but also very attractive. And so what we're going to do from the code, we're going to look at what needs to be jumped, put it in the right place, and jump your ship. Then the alien from Aliens jumps on her ship as well. So that's not going to bode well, which we also saw that same alien again in Space Quest 3. So now it seems like the ship's fixed. We should be good to go. Let's open these panels. And it says the crystal is broken. And if you look at that crystal in the upper right side of it, you can see like it looks like there's a chip there. So I put super glue or the Elmer glue on it, thinking that does it. We should be good. Let's see anything else. Feels nice. Yep, everything feels nice. All right, cool. Nothing else to do in there. Ship should be good to go, right? Spoiler alert. Nope, there's something else we need to do. And it's going to take me a while to figure it out. All right, so let's try to take off. Everything is set still to lasagna. And it says that the ship failed, so we know something is still broken, which is clearly this crystal, because you can see that there's still a piece missing. But there's no broken piece inside. So I restored before I applied the glue, thinking maybe I did something wrong. But there doesn't seem to be anything inside that would indicate where this broken piece is at. You would think it would just be inside that little compartment, but that's not the case. So what we have to do is open the data recorder thing, and there's a piece in there that you can use as a replacement. Slap some glue on there, but that doesn't do it. So first you actually have to put the glue on the big crystal, then take the small crystal with the glue and hold it there. Seems really complicated. It seems like you just put the glue on the small piece and hold that in place. Whatever, I didn't design it. So now we're off and flying once again. And we're heading to, I forgot the name of the planet, but it's essentially the planet you were sent to go clean. Because that's where Stellar's code came from. So we know she is somewhere here. So couldn't get in the quarters, and if you go into the lab, there's the guy that you initially met with the commander. So naturally click on everything, but there's, spoiler alert, nothing here to click except for the guy behind the desk. So when you talk to him, he says, "What are you doing here?" You're like, "Oh, you know, I think Stellar Santiago is still alive." And he says, "What are you talking about? That's nonsense." And you say, "I know something's up," and then he leaves. So now what? I mean, we have a computer in front of us and some other options, but nothing in the lab really seems clickable except for the computer. On the paperwork, there's a ton of paperwork, but there is a box that says Super Tech. So we'll click on that and get something out of that. So everything you try to get to in the machine basically says system is down due to budget constraints. And I thought this was pretty funny. They show like an online service on how to get online called Prodigy. And it slowly loads the screen just like the good old dial-up days. So there's a box of high-tech stuff. And grab a couple things out of there. Now, I want to point out that computer has a CyberJack port, which we talked about in the when Stellar and Roger are talking, and they say, "Hey, if you can get a CyberJack helmet and find a CyberJack port, you can get in and try to see why that file on Nigel is sealed." So we got a few things, heading back up to the docking bay now. And he says, "Hey, we can use the photo triangulation system to try to find where she's at." So you're going to hit the PTS thing, take a picture, and you can peel the negative off. which you're going to have to do anyway. And I just kept clicking it because it said it could take 202 photos, and I didn't know if I'd messed up, but I did it anyway. So you can peel the other negative off. Now, this was pure, again, pure luck that I did this. So what I end up doing is I take the photo, lay it on there. You take the same photo twice, so I don't know why this works. So I took the other negative, though, and put it on there, even though it's the same exact photo. And he pretty much says, yep, I can triangulate stuff now. So we're good. So why did it require a second photo of the same thing? I don't know. So now we're going back to the original planet we started on. Polyester, whatever the planet's called. So now we have this chip that we can use because he says he can't sell the Cyberjack thing because it's illegal, but he can trade for it. So we're going to head back to where we were beamed down, press the button, and get beamed back up by Manuel. So now we have the helmet. We're going to go back to the Delta whatever 5 or 6. So now we're going to head back down to Lab A. We're going to jack in. Now, apparently, despite the scientist being in there, he doesn't care that you're doing something that I think is considered illegal by cyberjacking. This was another one of those things that it's just a matter of walking, but felt so unnecessary. Like, because it was difficult to move and find out where you're supposed to be clicking, especially when it goes behind the rock. And I just want to say, when you exit out and go back to this thing, you hear this ding. That is actually from EverQuest when you level. So I just thought that was interesting that they made a EverQuest reference. And this is where I sped up my cycle so you can move faster. So it says free birdseed. It's a reference to Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. Like, this could have been made so much shorter. This is just a horrible, horrible design. Like, there is no enjoyment. It's not funny. It's longer than it has to be. It would have been better if you just click Roger on the edge of the screen and you show him, like, it just pans and does a cutscene of him walking in circles versus you clicking everywhere to make him walk in circles. So you pick up the screwdriver that's on the ground and then you head in. And you get the Windows 3.1 or 3.11. And you need to take a number, which yours will never come up, just as an FYI. So what you need to do is go into this thing, and if you click it once, it just goes to 5, and then her thing goes to 4. but the numbers don't match, so you need to fiddle with it. And this took me a second because I couldn't figure out, I'm just stabbing at it. So then what about the screwdriver? Aha. So now, put it on 3, you have the number 3. And she says, well, that's not possible, but it is. And she puts you into the file room. So now what we know that we have to find the file on Nigel. So we're going to start there. And at first I thought you just click, but no, you actually have to go down into the hallway. So this whole time I thought I was just misclicking where the folder is until I decided to move in. And now you see rows and rows. And so we're going to go to the very first letter N and start clicking, and it opens. And you can see you can open stuff leading up to stairs. And it's weird because you're clicking on the hand. So it took me a while to figure out how to get up there. Even when I was using feet, he was walking in front, which is what caused that confusion. Finally figured out you have to have that arrow right at the top. So there's no need to climb all the way on top of it, though. You just need to get to where you can see inside. So now if you look at the file, it makes a reference to other things that now we need to go get those files also. So I'll go ahead and fast forward this whole section because there was a part where I forgot to print one of the files, because as you take these files, you can take them out into where we just were with the Windows 3.1 screen, and there's a virtual printer, and you have to print these screens. Or I'm sorry, you have to print these files. And there was one I forgot to print, and when you walk out of that office and leave, she says, hey, you have to leave the files here. So there was one I forgot to get, and this results in me not being able to confront the doctor properly, because you need all 5 files printed in order to confront him. So I am going to go ahead and speed that whole mistake up that I spent literally probably a half an hour trying to figure out what I'd done wrong. So you can see that's where I made my mistake. I didn't scroll down because I saw the other notice. Now you'll notice that the stack of papers is now stacked 5 deep rather than being individual. So now you know you've got it right. And he realizes he's crossed the line. He has tried to help Sharpay, who he actually has some feelings for, how to extend her life. And Roger is rather shocked that he has feelings for Sharpay, being that she seemed like a pretty old and vulgar woman, but, you know, he's an alien with a big brain and a long face. So he goes into detail about what they were trying to do, and he pretty much says it's probably already too late. But Roger, he's not giving up. He's like, there's got to be a way. And the good doctor here, the mad scientist, pretty much says, well, there is a way, but it's going to be very dangerous. It's going to require shrinking you and injecting you into Stellar's body, and you have to remove the nanotech that is in Stellar's body. And he says, well, okay, if you're sure about this. And he's like, I'm not super sure, but if you want to try it, this is the way to do it. And I'll be able to reverse, if you can save her, I may be able to reverse any physical damage you do to her. Which you already know that means Roger's going to do some weird stuff. I remember having that scene as a wallpaper back when this game first came out for a long time. I just thought it was a cool scene. So grab your spacesuit, throw it on, and I thought you're in someone's stomach, but it's like you don't need your helmet. So you just click your hand and take it off. Now I took the thing off the front of the ship, which is that right there. But I didn't notice there was something hanging off of the back part side, which is going to cost me. So you climb down here and you can see the nanotech already. You can throw some M&Ms. You can only pick one up at a time, but you basically chuck them into the acid of the stomach. And what you'll notice is it rises briefly and then goes back down. So you need something with probably like a lot more sugar to react. So maybe you need to throw in all three. Spoiler alert, nope, that's not it. You need to shove something else down. So grab that stapler, which is really weird that there's a stapler in her stomach. Toss the third one, same thing. There's also a green thing right in the back that you should also grab because you're going to need it, because you can tell that there's like a hook and now you have a rope. So you can kind of tell where this is going. So as I said, you can totally tell the stapler and the celery thing or whatever that is go together. And look at that. There's something pretty sugary that needs to probably go down in the stomach. But you would think if that was lodged in our throat, which is, I assume, where you're at, it would choke her, but apparently not. So now there's a pill there also. So we jump on it again, because sometimes you have to do multiple times, kind of like the door. But nope, that doesn't do anything. So try to climb up there and you can't. So you tickle it, and what'll happen is her throat will clear because you've tickled her throat. The Twinkie falls, and the acidity rises up, and there you go, dead nanotech. Let's see if there's anywhere you can go. Nope, still can't go anywhere up there. So we're going to head back down. Now keep in mind there was something that was on that side of the ship that I should have grabbed that I don't have. So I was thinking grab that, throw it into the stomach. Nope, not so much. So now we're going to go down the hole that the nanotech was guarding. So my concern here, because I couldn't remember if this was going to be a maze, and it turns out it's not really. There's like a up and there's also a down. Now, because I didn't grab the thing that was hanging on the side of the ship, I'm pretty much currently dead in the water, or dead in the stomach pile, however you want to phrase it. So up there, you pass it pretty quick. There's a gallstone, which will come into play later. You have to trigger it. So you climb through, and you can't. So I grab that, shove it in there, thinking maybe that has something to do with it. Nope. Start clicking on all the random stuff to try to trigger something. Go back, try to take it. Says, no, just leave it there. You're doing good. Which I'm thinking, okay, well, that's in the right place. So what's next? But nothing I have seems to combine with it. Spoiler alert. It's an option that's down at the bottom between your feet, your eyes, your hands, your mouth. So obviously it's not your feet because you can't pass it. Your hands tell you to leave it. Your eyes will describe it. So now we know what we had to have pressed. I'll get there eventually. Don't worry. Like I said, we did beat the game, but it just took a while. Oh, and by the way, there's a tapeworm there that if you get too close, he'll try to eat you. Now, one of the things I did like about Space Quest 6, what they did is if you didn't save, you had the option to essentially try again. And try again would put you right before you died in a safe spot. So that was kind of nice that if you had forgotten to save, you were not dead in the water. That is a big bonus in this game because Sierra can be brutal with how they do their puzzles, and death can be anywhere from a tapeworm meeting you or just falling off a set of stairs that looks like it might only be a 10-foot fall, like in Space Quest 3 when you fall off the ship, the top of the ship when you're trying to get inside. So this was a really cool option to do the try again. But I'm still no closer. Pretty much lost, just clicking random things, trying to combine different things because I did not get the thing at the top. And also because I didn't do the right thing over here either. Literally the only thing I have not tried is put my mouth on it. That to me didn't seem logical. So now what I'm going to do is retrace my steps all the way back and see if I can find out if I missed something, which, spoiler alert, we already know that I did because I missed the thing outside on the ship. There's nothing here. If I climb up here, that's just going to lead up to her thing. Can't swing over, so you literally have to climb back down again and climb the old school way. So backtrack all the way, and then I notice that thing dangling on the side of the ship. And that's why I saved the game as Psy. Now we're going to go back down here now that we have something new to try. And I forgot which way I was going, ended up going up here, and we'll quickly realize I'm headed the wrong way. Now, what I dig is that you could literally time the wave that's going around the stomach pile. Now, I've pieced it together that somehow the pump and the hose thing go together because we're going to pump some stomach bile. There we go. We create a hose and apparently use your helmet to store the stomach bile. So now that I have the stomach bile, I'm still not certain what comes next because I'm still stuck at that dead end thing. And you apparently just leave the pump and thing inside. And now the gallstone breaks loose, and they do an Indiana Jones moment and pick up some gallstones. She has a lot of stuff stuck in her throat. So once again, I'm just clicking on anything, and for once I finally click on mouth, which I passed over so many times. And now we go into a different area. So looks like we got some more liquid that's dripping, and it was so weird. I was thinking I was going to have to avoid the liquid like Space Quest 1 with the acidity, but he just goes out there and gets it in the helmet. So cool. I just assumed it was going to be acidic and kill Roger if he didn't step in the right place. So now that upper thing is blocked, we now have gone the whole way back that way. So now the only option seems to be out. But that's not the case because we still have the tapeworm. So we're going to put the acidity on the pill, which breaks the pill down. So now you can pick up some of the timed release stuff that's inside the pill. And what we're going to do is the only screen we have left is the tapeworm. And the only thing we have new is that time release pill. So now it's a matter of getting close enough without being eaten. So we're going to try again, throw the time release pill. And he noticeably looks different. So you can actually get right in front of him. And if you click the hand on him, it's time to ride the worm. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. Head over here and see what new area we have. And there's a number of items once again in her stomach, including some silver from a filling, a nail, which makes sense, like a fingernail, and what appears to be like another paperclip thing. And if you click to the left, Roger talks about how much he cares, but he's not willing to do everything, which would have meant going out her rear end. So once again, we are going to ride the worm. So now it feels like we've done everything we can possibly do in here. Now we have to see if there's anywhere else we need to go. Now that beeping, so this part I found very frustrating. So if you click the beeping, when you try to click the thing on the side, it can tell you that it's out of gas, but every time I clicked it, he kept trying to open the front. So clicking in the right spot was absolutely painful. So apparently you have to walk right up to it rather than clicking on it from a distance to actually make it work. And what you need to do is, it says it's out of the third tank, which is the one for silver or whatever. So you put silver in there and that fills the tank. So now we should be good to go. Now we can try to get in the ship, but no, it's the same thing. Roger just keeps trying to click it. So it seems like I'm clicking on the panel, but it finally goes in. That, again, part of the frustration of this game is the clicking is so precise, and when it's such a small target, like it's not like it's a big target, not like you're looking at a zoom up of the ship's door or anything and you're just clicking off to the side. It's a small target you need to click on to get it right. So anyway, we found out there's a nanotech in her brain, so that's where we're headed next. It's the same thing, put on the spacesuit, put the helmet on, and once again told you don't need the helmet, which is probably good because it had her stomach bile and everything on the inside. And when you try to walk up here, there's nowhere to walk. So I end up trying a few different things. I end up using the nail, see if there's something I can chop. Like, is the passage, like, you have to cut it up there? No, it's actually below. So that's why I saved the game as not what I was trying. I was actually trying to cut above, thinking that the front passage was what was actually blocked, not that I had to cut and go below. So Roger, you have to make him jump, click a few times. Again, monotonous. I'm not sure why they did it when all you're doing is clicking, 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 clicking just to get him to climb over. Are you picking up that I was not super happy with this game when I replayed it again? Whatever, like 20, 30 years later. It's just by far out of the entire Space Quest series, it was my least favorite. So I'm trying to figure out what to do here. See if there's like buttons I need to press, whatever. It's not very clear. And as I click further back, it suddenly says, oh, you can go back there. And when I was standing closer, it says you can't throw it from here, which is weird because now I look further away than I originally was. So now you just keep throwing them between the two robots until they destroy each other, thinking that it's one another. They're hitting one another. And I thought that puzzle was pretty lame because, as I said, you actually look closer when you're trying to throw the gallstones than when you are further away. So now we're in her brain, and the areas of her brain are labeled, like her pleasure center and stuff like that. So we're going to make our way down, look at the different sides. There's her pleasure center. This is her cough control. And this is her choice of men, which looks weird. So if you go all the way down, you can see this area is blocked off. So clearly what we need to do is somehow get up to her coughing area to trigger a cough that will basically shake that stuff loose. So it's a matter of figuring out where and stab away with the broken thing. Hear a cough, and you can see it's clear. Now normally you just click on your feet to get over there, but it doesn't seem to work. I even clicked on hands to try to move stuff, feet to try to get over there. Yeah, I struggled trying to just walk over there, seeing if there was like a little niche I had to walk through, or if I had to do something, clicking on the fingernail to use it like a shovel, move stuff out of the way. Nothing seems to be working out for me. So I go ahead and save it as weird. Now click on the hand on that one particular spot to climb over. And Roger will fall down, and it's none other than Sharpie, however you want to pronounce it. And she is in a robot. But you can see from the brain activity, the electrons are flying on those nerves behind you and up next to Sharpay. So what we're going to do is, obviously we have something metal that will conduct electricity. She said she's going to destroy you. So you go over here, grab it, zap, and down she goes. And you would think that's the end of the game, right? Like, yeah, you know, seems pretty good. Shocked her. Game should be done. But hold on a second. It's not. She's back as a living brain. So really the only thing we haven't used is one thing that just keeps coming back into our inventory. So she snags you, and you have moments to give her something. And fish. Because, as she says, it's brain food. But she eats the rotten fish, and apparently she perishes from that. So now you automatically cutscene away to flying, and you flash your high beam somewhere near Stellar's head, and it happens to be a white head, as in a pimple, and he pops it. And you are on the ship against his monocle. So now we cut away to the end scene where they kind of talk and say, oh, you know, that was really crazy. Glad you found it. Glad we were able to piece everything together. It's still not super clear to me why Nigel and his brother or whatever tried to kidnap Roger. I don't know. It seems very weird. Seems like if they wanted Stellar, they should have just went for Stellar first. Whatever. A lot of things are not clear. There was a lot of this game that just overall I didn't enjoy a lot of the puzzles, as I've already mentioned. A lot of it seemed very monotonous, like having to click several times to jump. There was just a lot of things about Space Quest 6 when I replayed it I found I did not enjoy as much as what I remembered. So anyway, they talk about how, what their next step is, and they say, well, I guess we'll have to find out and maybe go on that dinner date. And we have a cutscene with the ship flying off. And he says, thanks for playing Space Quest 6. Good job. And we cut into the credits. Now, if you play Space Quest 6, I highly recommend sticking all the way through the credits. Not that there's a stinger at the end like the Marvel movies, but the individual who voiced Roger Wilco actually makes several comments throughout the credits, which is actually kind of cool and kind of funny if you hang out and stay for that. So while that's all happening, it's all sped up. You can watch the non-commentary version if you want to watch that stuff. If you enjoy these videos, you enjoy what I do, even though, sorry if this one sounded a little more negative than usually. I try to be honest about when I play these games, replay them, like so many years later to see if they really still held up. But if you do, click like, subscribe, and by all means share it so that more people become aware of my channel and we get some more fans and some more subscribers and all that great stuff. Until next time, we'll see what game I play next. Thank you.